next speaker, really interested in this also. He's the CTO and co-founder of Evermade, Finland's leading WordPress agency. With a journey in web development spanning since the very beginning of WordPress, he has personally overseen and contributed to hundreds of impactful website projects. His client portfolio at Evermade includes names like Porsche Slush, Alan Wake, and Angry Birds. He's also a passionate cyclist and a cycling YouTuber. So maybe either a YouTuber that talks about cycling or someone who rides a bike and watches YouTube, but we'll find out. Please welcome Jaakko Alajoki.
All right, I guess you can hear me, right? Good afternoon. Great to be here. I'm not going to talk about bikes, even though I would like to. But we talk today about problems with headless WordPress websites. And probably I want to clarify that I'm talking about headless marketing websites. Before we jump into the topic, a few words about me. So I'm Jaakko Alajoki, one of the founders of Evermade, CTO there. I've been in this industry quite a long time. I made my first website for money 25 years ago, so I have seen a lot of things. And there's a QR code, and we all know that you shouldn't read any unknown QR code, so that's a security thing. But first, before we go, raise your hand if you know what headless stack is. So quite a lot of hands, because I can't talk about 15 minutes about what headless is and then say don't and leave the stage. But let's be quick. I quickly explain what it means, what it is. So traditionally, when you have a website, I don't have my beautiful animations here, but don't worry about that. And on a traditional website, we have a server and a browser. And when we load a page, the whole page is transferred to the browser. And when we click something on the menu, the whole page is loaded again. But with headless, on the first page load, we get an app, most likely React app, but it can be something else, but we get an app. And when we click something on the menu, we only get the fresh content, not the whole user interface is loaded again. So it's a bit different way for building websites. And we saw quite a big trend a few years ago that a lot of companies and people started to do and sell headless websites. And there's few clear benefits of doing headless sites. First one is performance. So as I said, the whole app is loaded on the first page load and then only the content. So when you click around on the site, it actually feels pretty fast because only the content is loaded again. Makes sense. The second one is security. So there's different kind of systems, for example, Next.js, which kind of acts as a middleware in front of WordPress. So from outside, you cannot actually see that WordPress is there behind everything. And there's this public misunderstanding that WordPress is very insecure. And I talk about this with our clients quite a lot. And if we can hide the WordPress completely, it's somewhere there, but it's hidden, that brings some safety to the equation. So the second key selling point of headless websites is that they are secure. And then we have the third one, which I think that is the biggest reason that headless stack was and probably is so popular, and it's the smooth development experience. So developers, me included, we have a lot of effect on what kind of solutions we create. If something is nice to work with, we want to promote that inside our companies and sell that to clients. And I have here 2 examples on the left. This is actually from a real project. Super disgusting PHP mixed with HTML, some very nicely named variables, all that kind of things. That's kind of the traditional way of writing templates. And on the right, we can see the beautiful React code, nicely indented, all that kind of thing. So as a developer, it's much more nice to write like a beautiful code. So one reason why headless is so popular is the development experience. Fine, okay. We have fast, secure websites, which are nice to develop. Everything is good. Except we started to see this trend. So in my job, I'm working a lot with sales. When we got messages from client, I evaluate them. Okay, what kind of stack they have at the moment, what we can do for them, all that kind of things. And we started to see a trend of clients coming in saying that, okay, we spent like 100,000 euros for a site. It's fairly new, it was renewed 6 months ago, but we are having a lot of problems with them. We saw this trend, which at some point I was like disappointed for the whole industry that why this is happening, that the companies has invested a lot for a new site and there is problems with them. Some direct quotes, the performance is poor. So wait a minute, it was supposed to be good, and now we have clients coming in saying that we have this headless site and the performance is not good. Example from some headless website currently live. I'm not going to say the project name, but probably one of the most expensive sites in Finland. The front page, 20 megabytes. So headless, beautiful, fast, 20 megabytes. I disagree. Some other example. There's supposed to be an animation, but there's no. But we got one client, and it was headless site again, super fast. It has a search feature, and when I clicked the drop downs, there was a significant delay on when the drop down opened. So the site was fast, but the React implementation was slow. It was loading a lot of data to the front end, manipulating that on the fly. And the UI just wasn't fast. And what I mean by this is that you cannot just take some tech stack and say that, okay, now everything is fast. You still have to make fast website. If you don't optimize it, if you have this kind of huge forms and the front end is slow, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're loading 20 megabytes of stuff, like no stack would save you. It just is slow. So what I mean is that it is totally possible to create very fast websites with traditional stack if you know what you are doing. Then, everything is expensive. Okay, this is really example of a architecture of beautiful, beautiful headless stack. I would like to have this on my CV as a developer. I did this. Perfect. But quite many boxes. There's WordPress somewhere, so I have anonymized this so that you don't guess who the client is, but There's WordPress somewhere. There's different kind of microservices and caching and secret management, all kinds of things. Very beautiful, but very complex. If you touch something, something breaks somewhere else. Very expensive. So a lot of different services from different vendors instead of some centralized solution. So what we did for this specific project, we transformed the whole thing to traditional old architecture. And the whole architecture is way more simple now. It's way cheaper. It's way faster to do changes. Way more future-proof. So again, beautiful stack, but really not what the client wanted. This site was, when we started working on this, it was 3 months old, and the client was so pissed off of the whole solution. Again, quite usual thing with headless sites. Client wants to do some changes, but it's impossible or difficult. We need a dev team to do content changes. We need a dev team to do color changes, all that kind of things. We miss the whole ecosystem, or not completely, but a lot of plugins, existing plugins tool with headless, because with headless, we cannot just install Gravity Forms. We have to build the front end by our own separately. And all of this makes the solution expensive for the client, which is kind of okay. The development experience is beautiful, all that nicely intended React, but making changes is difficult. Then about the security, I agree that if you install WordPress, there is some kind of attack surface on WordPress sites. But having, let's say, Next.js in front of WordPress, it doesn't automatically make the website safe. I think it's the same now with the performance, that there's a lot of things still you have to do properly, even though you're like, no matter if you're doing traditional architecture or headless architecture, you still have to make sure that the security is handled properly. For example, on the Next.js, there was quite a big security issue this spring. Okay, it was related to login, but anyway, big, like a critical problem with that one. We all know that when we start the React project, we have all those 20,000 dependencies coming in. We don't have no idea, we have no control what they are. So I'm questioning the security of headless solutions. Fine. Okay, so headless websites, they're fast, secure, smooth to develop, but are they really? Not sure. If we think about like what our clients want, what we see what marketing teams want, of course they want results, they want good SEO, they want to do rapid changes, they want to have the flexibility to do changes. And I think like, especially the rapid changes, flexibility, if you build a headless site that doesn't allow marketing teams to do changes rapidly, the site is failed. I have seen many desperate clients, especially marketing people, pretty stuck with their site because they just cannot change things. And we know that in marketing, you want to change things. Things move fast. And I think the underlying biggest thing is that with a headless stack, there's no native way of doing things. So you have to build everything from scratch. It is possible to build your own library and like familiarize yourself with headless stack and create sites and sites and sites and do good stuff. But there's no native way. There's no official WordPress way of doing headless things, which means that you have to build a lot of things from scratch, which I think is the core issue of the problem. And I'm not saying that headless sucks and please don't do it. That the technology itself doesn't work. But what I am seeing at my work quite a lot, and especially like a few years back, was the clients coming in and saying that listing all of the problems I just listed. And I think that's the problem, that it's possible to do properly, but I haven't seen too many properly made headless WordPress marketing websites. That was my rant about this thing. I have written blog posts about this and posted on LinkedIn about this, and just from my personal experience, what I see at my work, and I hope that someday I'm wrong and we can all build headless sites with a beautiful stack. But I'm waiting for that day. That was all. Thank you. If you have any comments, I'm on the Evermade stage out there. If you want to come and talk about this, I guess there's no time for questions on these lightning talks. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaakko.